You're listening to CBS Sports Radio. We are all sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Strong opinions and your phone calls. Expected here. CBS Sports Radio.
The Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live. SEC, ACC, and Big Ten coverage like no other. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
Hey, Jacksonville, winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com/radio to save 50% on your first service. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com/radio today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Get your Sunday football morning started off right with the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over, under, money line, you name it. And we dive into the world of fantasy football year long in your DFS payouts. The only true Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy in your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Sundays, all NFL season long.
At Jewelers Mutual, we're a little obsessed with jewelry. Obsessed like auctioneers with talking fast.
50, we're going to fit so.
Pop stars with auto-tune.
Yeah.
And dentists with asking questions.
So how did he propose?
After they've put their hands in your mouth.
Great.
Yes, we've made jewelry our obsession for over 100 years. We love it so much, we named our kids Ruby, Amber, and Opal.
Venti soy latte for Opal?
At Jewelers Mutual, we insure jewelry and only jewelry, which is why people who are also obsessed with jewelry trust us with theirs.
Saturday mornings, 8:30 Eastern. Dixie Football Nation is back and better than ever. We've got Tony Agolini, Matt Carr, Tones Ariola, Bobby and Angelo, along with Mac McGee this fall. Dixie Football Nation heads to the gridiron, talking ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, and all the big games throughout the college football land. That's Dixie Football Nation, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Saturday mornings on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel, going live. Or catch the instant replay.
Take the road less traveled in the newly redesigned Hyundai Santa Fe. With available H-Track all-wheel drive to help you get off the beaten path a little further together. And intuitive safety features that can help you see what's waiting around the bend. Plus, with generous room for 5 and comfortable available Napa leather seating, you can go for more drives as a family without driving each other crazy. Find new adventures together in the Hyundai Santa Fe.
I'm Amy Lawrence, and I'm up late, always, after hours, hanging out with you on CBS Sports Radio. Check it out, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific.
Get caught up with the big stories from around the world in sports in just a few minutes. Take me out to the ball game today.
Remember, if for any reason you must leave your radio, please have the man at the door stamp your ear so you can listen again later.
Saturday mornings, 8:30 Eastern. Dixie Football Nation is back and better than ever. We've got Tony Agolini, Matt Carr, Tones Ariola, Bobby and Angelo, along with Mac McGee this fall. Dixie Football Nation heads to the gridiron, talking ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, and all the big games throughout the college football land. That's Dixie Football Nation, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Saturday mornings on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel, going live. Or catch the instant replay.
Screen pass to Trayshawn DeAndre on the right side. He dodges Crushman, makes his way to the end zone. Touchdown! But wait a second, I think there's a flag on the play.
All right, you guys got holding on number 97, right?
Yeah, definitely holding, no touchdown.
All right, make the call.
Yeah, I mean, it was holding.
So make the call.
Or, we say the flag was for an excessive celebration so they can keep the touchdown and apply the penalty to the kickoff, huh? What do you say?
What are you talking about? I didn't see excessive celebration.
You sure? Could have sworn I saw a little nay-nay going on.
What's going on with you, man?
All right, look, guys, I got to be real with you. Trayshawn DeAndre just scored that touchdown, okay? I have him on my fantasy team this week. I need these points.
What? Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you, Bill. I'm playing against my father-in-law this week, and if he doesn't score this touchdown, I lose.
Well, I'm not going to let you make a bad call because you're in some fantasy football league.
Make the call.
Craig, no. If you make one bad call...
This works out perfectly, Bill. I started the quarterback who threw the touchdown pass. We're going to have to ignore the holding call.
I have the kicker, and I was kind of hoping that he wouldn't convert on third down, so he'd have to kick the field goal.
Armchair.
Get your Sunday football morning started off right with the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over under, money line, you name it. And we dive into the world of fantasy football year-long and your DFS payouts. Your only true Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy, and your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Sundays, all NFL season long. The Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live, covering the AFC South and NFC South along with the rest of the NFL. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
You're listening to CBS Sports Radio. We are all sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Strong opinions and your phone calls. Expect it here. CBS Sports Radio.
The Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live. SEC, ACC, and Big Ten coverage like no other. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
Hey, Jacksonville, winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com/radio to save 50% on your first service. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com/radio today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Get your Sunday football morning started off right with the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over under, money line, you name it. And we dive into the world of fantasy football year-long and your DFS payouts. Your only true Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy, and your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Sundays, all NFL season long.
At Jewelers Mutual, we're a little obsessed with jewelry. Obsessed like auctioneers with talking fast.
50, we're going to 50.
Pop stars with auto-tune.
Yeah.
And dentists with asking questions.
How did he propose?
After they've put their hands in your mouth.
Great.
Yes, we've made jewelry our obsession for over 100 years. We love it so much we named our kids Ruby, Amber, and Opal.
Venti soy latte for Opal?
At Jewelers Mutual, we insure jewelry and only jewelry, which is why people who are also obsessed with jewelry trust us with theirs.
Saturday mornings, 8:30 Eastern. Dixie Football Nation is back and better than ever. We've got Tony Agolini, Matt Carr, Tones Areola, Bobby and Angelo, along with Mac McGee this fall. Dixie Football Nation heads to the gridiron, talking ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, and all the big games throughout the college football land. That's Dixie Football Nation, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Saturday mornings on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel, going live. Or catch the instant replay.
Take the road less traveled in the newly redesigned Hyundai Santa Fe. With available H-Track all-wheel drive to help you get off the beaten path a little further together. And intuitive safety features that can help you see what's waiting around the bend. Plus, with generous room for 5 and comfortable available Napa leather seating, you can go for more drives as a family without driving each other crazy. Find new adventures together in the Hyundai Santa Fe.
I'm Amy Lawrence, and I'm up late, always, after hours, hanging out with you on CBS Sports Radio. Check it out, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific.
Get caught up with the big stories from around the world in sports in just a few minutes. It's Take Me Out to the Ball Game today, weekdays. Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube. Baseball, football, basketball, whatever's trending in the world of sports, it's on Take Me Out to the Ball Game today in just a few minutes. It drops weekdays, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, as Wake Up Y'all is ending. Take Me Out to the Ball Game today on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. Take me out to the ball game. The Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live, covering the AFC South and NFC South along with the rest of the NFL. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
CBS Sports Radio, your home for all things sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, coast to coast. Great sports talk expected here. CBS Sports Radio.
Hell is filled with people like you.
This is Sean O'Toole with the Armchair Quarterbacks. Catch me Drive Time with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and Facebook Live.
Big news and the big games covered in the Big Ten by the Armchair Quarterbacks all year long.
Third down and about 22. As Smith drops the throw, he's got his tight end open, but he's got Carter downfield, and he's gone. Michigan leads the game with a first touchdown on a bullet, a bomb to Carter, 71 yards.
Now State's lead 7-3. There he goes. So long. Ohio State touchdown.
That's that old 1-2 punch you faked to him the first time and let him have it the second time.
In his career, Lorenzo White 15 times rushed for 100 yards in a half. 5 of those this season. On 2nd and 10. Long throw to Ryson, and he's open all the way to the 6-yard line.
Big Ten football covered in the Southeast by the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekends in the fall just got a hell of a lot better. Saturday mornings, it's Dixie Football Nation. We talk SEC, ACC, the Big Ten, and more. As the only true Southern football kickoff show, you don't want to miss it. The Armchair Quarterbacks have got you covered all football season long. Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. We cover the whole SEC all season long.
First and goal. Franks. Jump pass. Hello, Tebow. From going deep. High arcing shot. It is hauled in. Terry Godwin. And he stays up. Godwin dances into the end zone. 75 yards.
Tagovailoa flushed out of the pocket. He'll run with it. He's got the first down and more. Still on the run. He is gone. Touchdown, Alabama.
Second down and 10. Garantano over the middle. Ty Chandler. It's a race to the end zone, and he wins it. 42 yards. Touchdown, Tennessee. What a grab.
This is
Armchair.
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Drive time. Armchair Quarterback Show. Good enough for us down here in the bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks.
You're watching the most exciting game you will ever see on your TV set. Telstar by Coleco with 3 different games. Telstar Tennis with digital scoring, variable speeds. Telstar Hockey. Each player controls a goalie plus a forward on the other side. Oops, a goal. And Telstar Singles Handball, a game you play yourself. Telstar Handball, Tennis, Hockey. All 3 at an exciting low price. For great family fun, hitch your TV to a Telstar by Coleco.
Did you get all that?
Go away.
That was cool. Yeah, customers suck. Check this out.
What happened to you?
What do you mean?
Why you look like this?
I look like what?
You look like your face is ready to go downtown to the nightclubs and your outfit is saying, take me to the shopping club. You wanna go Costco? You're like such a weird mix right now. Think you wanna buy things in bulk and then go celebrate in the clubs. Your face don't match the rest of your body, man.
2 types of people in this world. There's winners and there's losers. And just so that we're clear, every time we step on this field, our goal is to be a winner. And if your dad has said, oh, it doesn't matter whether you win or lose, just as long as you have fun, your dad's a loser.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Here are your lines from the desert. The action gets rolling on Saturday in the top 25 at noon Eastern. Charleston Southern is at the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia #1 in the land. Currently, there is no line on that game at noon Eastern on ABC. It's the big one. The Michigan State Spartans getting 19 points on the road at Ohio State. The over-under is 65.5. Wake Forest, the #10 team in the country, they travel to Clemson, South Carolina. Clemson is a 4.5-point favorite. The over-under sits at 56.5. Iowa State at Oklahoma. The Sooners, 3.5-point favorites. The line is 59.5. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets travel to South Bend to take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The Irish are 17-point favorites. 58.5 is the number. And the #21 Arkansas Razorbacks, Woo Pig Suey, they'll be getting 20.5 points. The over-under is 58.5. Arkansas will try to knock off the #2 team in the land. #6 Michigan, they're a 15-point favorite at Maryland. That game's at 3:30 on the Big Ten Network. 3:30 Eastern on ESPN2. #18 Pittsburgh in line to play in the ACC championship game. They host Virginia. The Panthers are 14.5-point favorites. 66 is the number. #16 A&M hosts 7-2 Prairie View A&M. An FCS school. There is no line. That game kicks off at noon Eastern on ESPN and the SEC Network Plus. Also at noon Eastern, Tennessee State Tigers are at the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Currently, there's no line on that game. The Bulldogs are 25th in the country. At 2 o'clock Eastern, Illinois, 12.5-point dogs on the road at Iowa. The over-under is 38.5. SMU is an 11.5-point underdog at Cincinnati. The over-under sits at 65. Nebraska, 9-point underdogs at Wisconsin. That game's at 3:30 on ABC. BYU is a 20-point favorite on the road to Georgia Southern. 57.5 is the over-under. And the NC State Wolfpack, 11.5-point favorites at home against Syracuse, while Baylor, 5:30 Eastern on FS1, they're a 1-point favorite at Kansas State. And the Oregon Ducks, number 3 in the country, travel to the number 23 Utah Utes. Utah is a 3-point favorite. The over-under is 59. Vanderbilt getting 36.5 on the road at Ole Miss, number 12 in the country. 64.5 is the over-under. And the number 9 Oklahoma State Cowboys, they are a 10-point favorite at Texas Tech. 8 o'clock Eastern on Fox. Other games of interest around the country, the Florida State Seminoles, they're a 1.5-point to 2-point underdogs at Boston College. Noon on the ACC network. 54.5 is the over-under. Virginia Tech is getting 7.5 at Miami. The over-under is 56. That game's at 7:30 on the ACC network. Over in the SEC, Kentucky is a 36-point favorite at home against New Mexico State. The line is 60. The Gators, 8.5-point favorites at Missouri. The line is 69. In Auburn, they are a 7.5-point favorite on the road in South Carolina. That game's at 7 o'clock on ESPN. The Tennessee Volunteers, 7:30 Eastern on ESPNU. They host South Alabama and are 28-point favorites. The line is 62. And the LSU Tigers, 9 o'clock Eastern, ESPN2. They host University Louisiana Monroe. 29-point favorites are the Tigers. 57.5 is the over-under. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk, live from the First Coast.
The cartoon, The Jetsons, takes place in the year 2062. And we know that George Jetson, the father, is 40 years old in the cartoon. So you would know that he would be born here soon. But here's even better. If you look up when George Jetson's birthday is, it's August 27th, 2022. So this Thanksgiving, that means his parents are going to successfully get nasty.
Armchair.
Hyperbole is done. Now we can finally play the game. It is the third Saturday in October, and the show is on one more time in Knoxville, Tennessee.
We are live in Tallahassee, the capital of the great state of Florida.
There's no law against scalping tickets in this part of the country, and premium prices have been paid. That's Desmond Howard going in motion on 2nd down and 5 for Michigan, playing on real grass at Michigan Stadium. Throw it to the sideline, and it is intercepted. Florida State was sitting and waiting for it, and Terrell Buckley has scored a touchdown. How do you do?
All right, here we go. 56-yarder. It's got, no, does not have the leg. And Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game.
They're still in deep trouble in midfield. They tackle him. The ball is still loose as they get it to Rodgers. They give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He's going into the end zone. But the bands are out on the field. There were flags all over the place. The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California.
In trouble in the backfield, wants to throw now, and he's going to go deep. And I mean deep, and I mean touchdown, Florida! Tyree Cleveland
Barkley trying to bounce it. And does escape. Saquon Barkley in the clear. Still going. Saquon Barkley all the way to the end zone. Electric. 79 yards.
It's a 31-30 game. And what does Nebraska do?
I have not seen the kicker come on the field, and I don't think he's coming on the field. Tom Osborne made this decision a long time ago. He's decided to go for two and take his shot at winning. I commend him for it.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
And if in 48 seconds they become the winner, they certainly deserve to be national champions.
Here come the Seminoles of Florida State, one of the great traditions in college football, and this becoming one of the nation's favorite rivalries. It's a battle for flagging rights and recruiting advantages in the state of Florida as the Gators come calling, and Chief Osceola ready to get it started. College football. A matchup from the state of Florida. It's the Gators against the Seminoles on an overcast day in Tallahassee.
Moody flush, throws it down. Caught by Boston College. I don't believe it.
Today, we've got number 1 Seminoles against number 2 Hurricanes. They meet in the capital city of Tallahassee.
Good morning. There is no simple way to come in off of that ever since YouTube and Zoom do not connect correctly. How is everybody? We only got a couple of these left. College football is coming to a crashing end, and mercifully for us Florida State and Florida fans, welcoming back to the show for the first time in a long time is Mr. Tony Agolini. Tony, how are you, sir?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I have actually found these guys hanging around, Ohio State and Michigan State guys. So I didn't even know I had a Michigan State gnome. Tampa Tones, how are you this morning, sir?
Good, sir. Like you said, we don't have many of these left, so you got to enjoy them while we can. And it's got a couple elite games on the slate, big spreads in some of them, but we'll get into those, I'm sure.
And Bobby, how are you, my man?
I'm doing good today. Kind of looking forward to this Florida Missouri game, but I'm not having too high of expectations.
We're probably going to do an abbreviated show today. Tones has to jump off. I don't know how long we'll have Tony, as we've already seen him vanish again. Playing daddy is juggling several things at once at this point. And then Bobby and I aren't going to sit here and just cry into our beers about how bad Florida State and Florida are for an hour and a half. So
I wouldn't mind having someone to vent to about it.
We will definitely be here for a little while, but probably not all the way till the 10 o'clock hour. But we do want to make sure that we do cover a lot of things here in the world of sports, get y'all caught up on the stupid underdog picks and the locks and everything like that. Right now realize I make more picks every week because of the Friday show. Right now I'm 17-7 in the college football locks. Tony is 4-2. He hasn't had as many picks because of missing some dates here. Bobby and Tones, you're both 3-5, so you can both get to the 500 mark. You still have time. Angelo, I'm not so sure about. He's 2-6, and he will not be here today. He had soccer practice. He is a soccer coach, and he had a practice this morning. So we didn't think it would be good to have a body cam as he was like out there trying to practice and and talk about the Florida State Boston College game at the same time. So that's where we're on that. Stupid underdog picks. It looks like this. I'm sitting at 35 because I got off to a hot streak at the very beginning of the season. I haven't done anything in weeks. Angelo is 17.5. Tony is 12. Bobby is 11.5, and Tones, you're at 5. and we're still missing Tony. So I don't know if he got kidnapped or not, but we're going to go ahead and move on. Let's go ahead and do this now so I don't get sidetracked and forget about it. Tones, do you have your stupid underdog pick already ready to rock and roll?
Yes, I do, and I have ground to make up in both of these. And I might say I'm done with the bear picks. Okay, I'm done picking those crappy little school games.
Thank you, because I'm tired of Googling it on Saturday mornings. I don't know who the heck Robert Morris played. Let me just Google it.
I'm tired of it too, my friend. So I'm throwing that out the window. We're moving on to big boy ball, and I'm starting with the stupid underdogs and some big boy ball. I was between two of them, but I have more ground to make up. So I'm actually going with Missouri +9 at home against Florida. Actually, it was between that and Indiana +7 home against Minnesota for me. Florida, obviously, their offense looked good last week, but their defense let up a crazy amount of points to Samford. And although I actually did take Florida in the points last week, so I didn't do too good there. It inspired me to take.
You're about to get cancel cultured by Tony and Bobby at the same time.
Hey, that's okay, man.
Gators. First thing off the bat, the Gators suck, so I'm going to take Missouri.
No, hey,
no lies were told.
And I bet against Mizzou last week, and Mizzou ended up beating South Carolina. So I got to ride with Mizzou here +9 at home against the struggling Gators defense. I like their chances today. Again, it was back and forth between this and Indiana. I like the Indiana one a little more, but I got so much ground to make up. I got to go with Mizzou +9.
All right. Bobby, we'll probably hold off on ours so that we can circle back, because I don't know how long we're going to have Tony, and then Tones has to jump off. But Tony, what is your stupid underdog pick today?
I will take, with a similar line, I'll take Western Kentucky getting 10.5. I'm sorry. Yeah.
What time is that game? Any
it's
idea?
At noon. We're going to get that one out of the way.
All right, man. That is a great way to get your day started. Western Kentucky. Is that being televised? Probably not.
It's on Stadium, which I guess
so that's what that station is.
Yeah.
I actually have that station because I have YouTube Live. YouTube. I never knew what the hell was on Stadium. Okay.
It's basically like, I guess it's if the Athletic had TV.
Yeah, and they film right outside the United Center.
Western Kentucky, by the way, is the favorite. So are you taking?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I misspoke, but yeah, I'll take the Fighting Willie Taggarts to cover.
Okay, FAU +10.5.
Vegas knows something we don't.
Florida State knows something that FAU didn't know.
Yeah.
That if you hire Willie Taggart, there's a good chance you're going to be a 10.5 point underdog on the road to Western Kentucky late November. That's what they found out.
Tough place to play.
Yeah. Well, of course, man. It's the Hilltoppers. I do remember some hard fought games between Western Kentucky used to play MTSU all the time. And believe it or not, I watched a lot of Western Kentucky MTSU games in the 90s. We would be in bars and the game would be on, and it seemed like they were always like really good ball games. Didn't Willie Taggart coach it Western?
Yes, he did.
So that's how this probably
Western, USF, then Oregon, then FSU.
Yeah. He's basically did the Mel Tucker route. The only difference is he's not about to get $95 million put in his pocket for doing absolutely nothing. Nothing against Mel Tucker, but when your entire career record in college football is 16-13, I think the Michigan State alumni might be jumping the gun a little bit. Just a little bit. I was talking to Sean about this last night, and he seemed to think that it wasn't a bad idea. I just think it's a terrible idea. I get it that Michigan State is probably worried that someone's going to come snipe Tucker. I just don't think you're going to need $95 million to keep him locked in. Does he deserve a raise? Yeah, probably. I mean, he's gone out there and gotten you a 9-1 record, but maybe wait till after the Ohio State game today before you go out and say, we're going to give you $95 million. Because if he goes out and gets boat raced, if I'm him, if I'm him, I'm having an emergency meeting this morning and signing that contract. guys, let's not, we'll worry about all the little, get bogged down with the semantics with the lawyers on Monday or Tuesday. But let's go ahead and get this out here to the press. Let's go ahead and get it out there.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on from that. Let's go ahead and dive into the big game at hand. Ohio State plays Michigan State today. It's an 18.5 point spread, I think is the last number that I saw, which is, I'm just saying, if you're going to give someone $95 million, maybe they shouldn't be 19-point underdogs in a conference game. The over-under is 69.5. Honest engine. Tones, I'll start with you just because you're the Big Ten guy. Do you think Michigan State can even hang in here? Because it seems like Ohio State just goes out and turns on the engine and they get rolling and they don't slow down.
Yeah, I do actually, although Ohio State is playing good football. 2 of their past 3 games, they actually didn't cover the spread, so that's something to take into consideration there. I think that continues today. I think Michigan State might lose by double digits, sure, but I think they played good enough to cover in this one, and I do agree with you. Don't give the guy money yet. Don't give Mel Tucker the money until after this game, but it's too late now for that. But I do think Michigan State hangs in there for the first half, through 3 quarters at least for sure. We'll see what happens in the fourth, but I like Michigan State to cover, and I actually like this game to go under. I don't think it goes over 69. I think it stays under.
Bobby, what say you?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Tones here, and actually I'll be mentioning Michigan State a little bit later. But it's a home game for Ohio State, which doesn't help them. But it's only a noon game. Surprisingly, I wish this was one of the late games. But
once again, they have dropped the ball. Why is this not the ABC game of the week, the night game? I don't even know what it is. I'm sure it's got something to do with Texas Tech. But why in the world is this not the game? I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But it being a noon game only will help Michigan State, or at least kind of numb the presence of a home game feel for Ohio State. So I think that won't be as big of a factor. And obviously, Ohio State, they're playing at a great level right now. They've really turned it up. They start off the year a little bit questionable, but C.J. Stroud's really turned it around, and so has the rest of the team. So I think Ohio State's going to win probably. But I really think Michigan State's going to keep it at least somewhat close. And I like the under as well in this game. I like both of the running backs as well, having a big day today. Kenneth Walker and Travion Henderson.
Tony, what say you?
Yeah, I keep thinking like 34-17, which has Michigan State covering, and then I think that based on my math, that gives me the under. So yeah, I'm kind of in that boat. On the noon game, I read a couple weeks ago that this the big noon on Fox has actually been killing it ratings wise. Now that might be because of who they've put in that slot.
Right.
But it's whitewashing that 7:30 thing, and I think tonight it's like Utah USC or something stupid like that. I'm with you guys. I'd rather it be at night.
That's the thing is that the ABC game of the week, the night game, has been terrible. It's been, I mean, this has been a topic of conversation for us every single Saturday. Right. But we always compare what's being played at noon compared to what's being played at 7:30 because we know the 3:30 SEC game of the week can't be touched. And I think it's got something to do. I think Fox has outbid them to be able to put the big game on at noon. But to even that point, why the hell isn't Fox putting this as a night game? I don't get it. Because most people on Saturday mornings, and Tony, I'm sure that you can very much relate to this now that you both have a wife and a child, and congratulations if we haven't told you that already. Noon on Saturday can be hectic to be able to get in front of a television, and you're just at the baby stage. Wait till your kid gets older and you've got to go to soccer games and other things you have to go to, right? And how are you supposed to expect it? Most people have Saturdays and Sundays off in typical working America. Saturdays is get your chores done, get everything done, and hopefully you're done by Saturday evening, and then you've got Sunday off, right? It doesn't. It boggles the mind. And plus, they're going to go up against that juggernaut that is Florida State Boston College on the ACC network. So you got to be smart about these decisions, Fox.
That's right.
Tony, how much time do you have with us today?
Your guess is as good as mine, but we'll
gotcha. Okay.
hang out as long as I can.
Okay. So we'll put off the Gator game for a second and want to go ahead and talk about another noon kickoff game that I think has a decent chance of being an interesting, very interesting. It's the game that I'm most excited to watch outside of obviously I'll be watching Florida State, but Wake Forest is a 4-point underdog at Clemson. I find it interesting that Clemson can be ranked up in the top 10, but be a 4-point underdog to a Clemson team that is not what Clemson normally is. I really like taking Wake Forest in the points. In fact, it was my lock yesterday. Tones, I'll start with you. Where do you lean with this? Do you think Clemson is going to get it done and actually cover that spread?
I think Wake Forest wins straight up, if I'm being honest here. Their offense has been really impressive this season. Clemson against bigger teams this season has barely got anything going offensively. They lost a couple close ones early on and haven't really recovered since. I think their name is more their spread in this one. And although they've lined up a couple W's lately, we all know Florida State, in theory, was the better team in that game. And a couple other teams outplayed them, although they got W's. I like Wake Forest here. Their Cinderella season came to an end with the loss, but I like them to win this one.
Tony, what say you?
Yeah, I think I like Wake to win on the road in this one too. I think Hartman's had a huge year. Obviously, they're fun to watch. I watched just about every minute of that UNC game. I can't tell you if it was last week or the week before, but the one they lost that was technically not a conference game. I do think Clemson will do a better job than UNC did of slowing down Wake Forest. I see like a 31-28 game there, but it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and we'll see if Clemson's super young offense can actually get going. Wake plays pretty good defense, but you can put up points if you have a quarterback that can throw the ball more than 10 or 15 yards, and that's kind of been Clemson's downfall lately. But yeah, I do like Wake on the road straight up 31-28.
Bobby, what say you?
Yeah, I think the reason Clemson's the favorite is because they've kind of quietly moved to 7-3, which is better than how they started the year. But I still think Wake Forest is the better team. Even on the road today, I think they'll get the win. Clemson's offense just isn't good at all. And Wake Forest they've been by far a better team this year. I think there's a little bit more pressure on Wake Forest, though, because they're really competing for a pretty big bowl game, I guess, being a one-loss team right now. But I still think Wake Forest is going to get the win.
I honestly think the whole reason why this game is the way it is, it's going off a brand. Most college football bettors bet off a brand, and they're just not familiar with Wake Forest. I keep waiting for someone to steal Clausen away from Wake Forest, and I don't understand why his name hasn't been rumored in some of these bigger schools. Maybe not USC, but I think LSU would be very smart to go out and grab him. I told Justin years ago they should have hired him at Tennessee before they hired Butch Jones, but they're so hell-bent on him, his experience there as an offensive coordinator. They weren't that impressed, so they don't like him on their short list. But if you're a head coach, it's a lot different than if you're a good CEO head coach, that's what Clausen is. It's a lot different than trying to be the offensive coordinator somewhere. And the guy in Gainesville is finding that out too. If Norvell had not kind of turned it around, so to speak, by beating Miami and a couple other things that he's done this year that may have saved his job, we'll see what happens. But if he were on the quote unquote hot seat, Clausen would be at the top of my list of guys that I want, because he runs an offense that no one else runs. And it's very predicated on being able to, and usually takes a couple of years for it to be able to sink in, but you're making adjustments at what you see on the defense.
Right.
And so it's such a difficult offense to run that he quit letting reporters into practice. I think it was last year. It might have even been the year before, but he quit doing that because he felt like that they were leaking stuff to the media. And so anyways, I think the guy's a phenomenal coach and runs a great program, and hopefully he gets a chance to go somewhere. No knock on Wake Forest, but they're not going to make the financial commitment that I think this guy deserves at some point in his career. He's got to be close to 55, 60 years old at this point.
Yeah, they just have to hope that he's their David Cutcliffe that's just going to hang out there like Cutcliffe does at Duke and make it a career at Wake Forest.
Right. But I do think that he should be. Look, if I'm USC, I'm talking to him. I'm not saying that that's necessarily the guy you're going to hire because they probably want a big, sexy hire. But LSU would be very smart to go get him because the thing about LSU is their biggest complaint they normally have is that they don't put points on the board other than the national title year with Burrow and Brady as the quarterback coach. They didn't put points on the board. You bring Clausen and that the one thing they're going to do, they're going to entertain the hell out of you. Penn State plays Rutgers today. And the line is 18. I think that's kind of a sneaky line. Tones, I'm going to go ahead and put it out here. I think I would take, and it's actually up to 18.5, excuse me. I think I would take Rutgers plus the 18.5 because I feel like that is a game that is going to be a slobber knocker. The Penn State will win by double digits, but 18.5 seems like a lot. What say you?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And really, Penn State's last 5 games or so have been pretty much all one-score games, if not right outside of one-score games. So I like Rutgers to keep this one close. And Rutgers actually went to Indiana last week. I know Indiana isn't what they were supposed to be this year, but they blew the doors off of them 38-3. I like Greg Schiano to have his team ready to roll today in Penn State. And Penn State's been struggling defensively a little bit the past couple of weeks. They've been railing, and it just seems like they've been out of it offensively as well outside of Josh Dotson, who's been their incredible wide receiver. He's been on fire. He's going to be a first-round pick. But other than that, Penn State's just been struggling, and I don't think they change that today. I think that they struggle finding people outside of Jahan Dotson, and I think Penn State wins ugly today. I think it's like one of those, 24-20 or 21-17 type ball games, old-fashioned Big Ten smash mouth ugly style football. I like Penn State close, and I like it low score, and I'm going 24-20 Penn State. I'd absolutely take Rutgers today.
All right, moving on from that, let's flop back over to the Southeastern Conference because you got some games of interest today. Now, this is traditionally I call it the Bobo week. It's the week where everybody plays, basically the Sisters of the Poor. You got Georgia playing Charleston Southern. They actually finally do have a line there, 50.5. I can't believe anyone would even take Charleston Southern. Like how are they going to cross the 50-yard line? Kentucky is playing New Mexico State. But the game of interest, I'd say the biggest game of interest, we'll get to the Florida game here in a minute. But the biggest game of interest in the Southeastern Conference today has got to be Alabama, Arkansas. Arkansas getting 20.5 in Tuscaloosa. It's a 3:30. It's the CBS game of the week. And it's showing right now 36 degrees in Tuscaloosa. So that's interesting. So kind of a colder kickoff today. But it does look like it is going to be clear. I don't know what I'm kind of steering clear of this game because every time I believe in Arkansas, I see them just get mashed by Georgia and they can't. When I saw that Georgia-Arkansas game, it got me off Arkansas for the rest of the year because I saw an Arkansas team that got dominated on the line of scrimmage and was bullied a little bit. But then you'll see highlights of Arkansas games. Like, man, they don't look that bad. So I'm on the fence here. Tony, I'm going to start with you because I feel like you usually have a pretty good pulse on the Southeastern Conference, and you're, you over just about anybody probably have an idea of what these two teams will look like when they kick the ball off at 3:30. Do you give Arkansas a puncher's chance, or is this just going to be an absolute boat race?
Somewhere in between. I don't really give Arkansas a chance. I don't think they'll get blown out of the building. I think they'll actually cover today, but it'll be on the 40-20, like just barely cover, not a field goal game. I think Arkansas, it all depends about matchups for them. Like when they play an LSU or when they play maybe Mississippi State, like some of the more side to side, they don't go up and down the field as much. Some of those kind of teams, I think Arkansas is really good at bogging those teams down, and with Pittman as the coach, they're likely to kind of bogged down themselves. So they like that upfront, physical, old school Arkansas line of scrimmage, Big 8, that kind of game. And Bama doesn't really play that with the skill guys that they have. So in this kind of game, I don't give Arkansas a chance. Kind of like when they play Georgia, and Georgia's got such a diverse offense, even with Stetson Bennett at quarterback. But I don't really give Arkansas a chance to win the game. I do give them a chance to cover. But I think Alabama's in a pretty good spot this week against Arkansas, and they're coming off that big emotional win last week against LSU.
So you're not thinking that there's any kind of look ahead factor to the Iron Bowl, all that kind of stuff? You think they're going to be focused?
I don't think so. Saban's really good at not letting the guys fall for that stuff, and there's so much still on the table for Alabama where if they lose another game, they've got some serious issues for stuff that they're used to automatically playing in every year. So I think they'll take care of business. Plus, it's at home, like you said, that big 3:30 CBS spot. So I think they'll be fine. Saban always has them ready for these games.
Bobby, what say you?
Yeah, Alabama, they have a chance to clinch the West today with a win, and there's some pressure there, but not too much for a Nick Saban team. I think they go out and I think they handle business against Arkansas today. I think honestly though, I see Arkansas like covering late with a late touchdown or two, maybe coming back into the game, not give themselves a chance, but really cutting it below 20 or something into the teens. So I could see Arkansas covering for sure, but I think Alabama wins today, and I don't really give Arkansas much of a chance to win outright.
Tones?
Yeah, I agree with all of you. I'm not going to fool myself into thinking Arkansas is going to play this one close. Now, they could cover, as Bobby said, backdoor cover perhaps. You could see them down 27. They get a touchdown as time expires, couple seconds left, kick the extra point to cover. That's fine, and I think that could happen. But I think Alabama ultimately just wins by double digits here, and it's never really a close contest. Like it was alluded to as well, they're still trying to put up style points, quote unquote, for playoff rankings. So they're not going to let up any gas off the brakes. It's all gas, no brakes for them. And I think they put that on display here today against Arkansas.
All right, let's go ahead and move on from that. We'll get to the Gator game here in 1 second. I do want to hit a couple of top 25 games before Tones has to jump off here in just a couple of minutes. Another interesting game, and this is just one that I don't really think they have a chance of pulling off the upset, but Notre Dame is in the conversation with the college football playoffs right now. They're a 17.5-point favorite. The real question is, can they cover that spread? Because I feel like if they were to squeak by and beat Georgia Tech by, let's say, a touchdown, it would hurt them dramatically in the playoff conversation. Notre Dame's going to need help anyways, but if they don't blow out Georgia Tech, people are going to see the 3-7 record. They're not going to see the fact that Georgia Tech has played some teams really close and actually started the season off pretty good until some injuries really crippled them. Go around real quick. Does anyone give Georgia Tech a puncher's chance in this game? Tony, what say you?
No, but I think it's a big game for Coach Collins at Georgia Tech. I like Coach Collins. I think Tech would be dumb to let him go. I think he's got them moving in the right direction. I think you hit on everything. They've had some tough luck with injuries this year. They've lost a bunch of close games. They're not going to find anybody better right now than Jeff Collins. So I really hope they keep him. As much as I'd like to have him down in Gainesville back as our defensive coordinator, I think Tech should stick with Collins. I hope they play Notre Dame close because I want to see him keep his job. I don't think they have a chance to pull off the win unless just Notre Dame shows up and kind of plays like crap and Tech's able to make some plays. But I don't see it. I think Notre Dame, they don't look like a playoff team to me, but they're going to be in the picture, and I think they'll get the win today.
I think they need to give Collins one more year before they put the trigger on something like that. Bobby, what say you?
Yeah, I think Notre Dame, their record shows they have a shot at the playoffs, but really that one loss, it's an important one because it came against Cincinnati. That head-to-head loss is going to crush them when it comes to playoff conversations. So, if Cincinnati stays on track, I think they'll get the look over Notre Dame. But either way, I think Notre Dame goes in and handles business today. I like Georgia Tech, but I don't think they'll keep this game close. I think Notre Dame will win big.
And Tones, what say you? And go ahead and give us your lock and your one big thing, as I know you have to jump off.
Yeah, for sure. Notre Dame, I think that they handled Georgia Tech today as their schedule softened up. As of late, they have been beating up on the smaller, or not smaller teams, but the teams they should. Virginia last week, Navy the week before. I think they beat up a little bit on Georgia Tech tonight. But as Bobby said, playoff chances, I'm not so sure. When you're not in a conference and you lose one game, it's pretty killer. And I know Cincinnati's been having the season that they have, but unless a couple of these schools lose twice, have two losses on their resume, it'll be really tough for Notre Dame to get their way into the playoffs. I agree that they're probably not a playoff team. I don't think there are a ton of great teams in college football this year to add on top of that outside of Georgia. And yeah, I think it's going to be tough for Notre Dame, but I do think they blow out Georgia Tech here and help their case, I guess, even though it is a 3-7 and Georgia Tech team. I do think Georgia Tech should keep their coach as well, like you guys said before the injury started. They played Pitt close. They had a couple tough wins. They beat North Carolina early on. I think their only big stab in the back was a loss to Northern Illinois, but we've learned the MAC can upset conferences. Look at Bowling Green and Minnesota this year. So I think Georgia Tech should keep their coach, although I think Notre Dame wins pretty big today. And my lock of the day, like I said, Bear is gone. Bear's getting thrown out the window. No more Robert Morris type picks. I'm going Texas Tech plus 10.5 tonight. They're at home. They got the not the late game, but they play 8 o'clock Eastern against Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State has had 3 really nice wins in a row, building steam. But I think they might be overlooking Texas Tech a little bit in this one. I think they got happy feet a little bit, and Texas Tech has been playing a little bit better brand of football lately as well. I just think 10.5 at that atmosphere at night is going to be hard to overcome for Oklahoma State, whose offense really isn't. They got a good ground game, but their passing game lacks, and obviously so does their defense. So Texas Tech won a barn burner against Iowa State last week and barely fell victim to Kansas State a few weeks back. I like their chances at home today against Oklahoma State. And one big thing is one playoff team that seems comfortable right now will be on the outside looking in by the time this weekend's over, whether that's Ohio State fumbling to Michigan State, whether that's Oregon fumbling to Utah, whether that's Cincinnati getting their first loss to SMU, which that'll be a really close game as well, or whether it's Alabama. I know we all said they're going to take care of Arkansas, but they got a tough game too, whether they lose out of Cincinnati, Alabama, Oregon, and Ohio State. I got one of those 4 losing, and I got one of those 4 kind of feeling a little uneasy looking on the outside in after this one. I got a weird gut feeling that Utah wins tonight's game. I do like Oregon plus 3.5, and I think Oregon right now is the second or third best team in the country myself. But for some reason, I like Utah tonight. I don't know why. I think Oregon might be the one, but one of those 4 will be on the outside looking in: Oregon, Ohio State, Cincinnati, or Alabama after today concludes.
Well, considering the fact that Oregon is the only team on the road tonight, I think there's a very good chance that's the team. I would not touch that line with a 10-foot pole.
I'm not comfortable with Utah, although I think Utah wins. Right? Yeah, it's up to 3.5 now.
Oh, it's 3.5. Okay, so Utah is a 3.5-point favorite against the number 3 team in the country. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, that just shows the parity in college football.
That also shows you that nobody believes in Oregon.
Yeah, even after, I know it was early in the year, but even after their big win against Ohio State, I guess no one believes in him. And, the Pac-12 plays a factor in that. Not the strongest conference, but at day's end, they have 1 loss. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Tony's baby could probably make as good of a guess as I can. And yeah, we'll see though. I like Houston, or not Houston. I like Oregon losing tonight.
All right, brother. We'll see you tomorrow for the handicappers.
All right, fellas, be good all. I'll listen to the rest of the show. Tony, great baby. Guys, keep killing it. I'll tune in.
Bobby, I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you about to say something?
Yeah, I was about to mention C.J. Verdell's injury. That's big for Oregon, because he was probably the big difference maker in that Ohio State win.
Right.
Not having him hurts big time. If they didn't have him for the Ohio State win, our game, I don't think they win it at all.
How long is he out for, by the way?
I think he was out for the year, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, I wasn't sure on that.
I don't think he's coming back.
I keep seeing it flash across the bottom line, but I don't know if it was out for the season type of thing. Let's go ahead and dive back in the Southeastern Conference. The Fighting Gators, the Fighting Dan Mullins, 8.5-point favorites in Missouri. Your ears must have been burning yesterday, Tony, because Justin and I talked about how you always refer to the fact that Florida plays poorly in Missouri for whatever reason. And this is a 4:00 kickoff, which means by the end of the game, it's going to be nighttime. It's a 41 degrees right now. I'm going to guess it's going to be in the 30s by then. I think that's got something to do with it because when they do play Missouri, it's normally on the road in November, and that's normally, chilly temperatures. And I think that's got something to do with it. And like I said yesterday, I think they're affected by the fact there's usually 6 or 7 fans in the stands. So, everyone's kind of sleepwalking through this. How do you see this game unfolding today? Does Florida cover that spread? Do they win?
Well, let's start with the stadium. It's easily the least Gator traveled trip. That's a every other year kind of thing. Everybody goes to Nashville, everybody goes to Knoxville, all these other places. I haven't been in Missouri. I don't really have any desire to. But yeah, it's the only stadium in the SEC still where you can tell at one point there was a track around it back when they were in the Big 8, and the fans are kind of far away from the field. There's not a lot of it's not a steep stadium by any means or anything like that, and you really have to generate your own juice even when Missouri's good, and Missouri's they're a 5-5 team.
I think it's the equivalent of the Vanderbilt basketball court.
Yeah, it is.
It's weird.
a good comparison.
Yeah. It's just weird.
Right. And I have been in that gym, and that's kind of like playing basketball like in the middle of a spaceship, which is kind of weird. There's no doubt.
There was a half court buzzer beater in overtime against Georgia in the 90s. I was at that game.
Oh wow. Oh cool.
Just randomly cussing my dad.
We ended up
we were leaving the stadium as he goes, we got to beat traffic. Luckily, I kept my head poked in to see the actual jumper, but I would have loved to actually been sitting in the stands when it happened.
Yeah, I think I was up there to see my buddies. But the Stars were playing the Predators in January, and so we went to the game, but we wandered over to Vanderbilt one of those days, and they happened to have a girls basketball game that day. So towards the end of that, we kind of snuck in the gym just to kind of look around, and
Vanderbilt has a girls basketball team playing most days.
Yeah. So it was as weird. It was as weird walking in there as it looked on TV. But anyway, so game wise, Missouri's got one of the best running backs in the SEC. Florida can't stop the run, it seems like, even if they know what play is coming, which was the case against LSU. So I don't know, man. My faith has just gone totally out the window these last 4 weeks, and it all started with the LSU game, which was a very winnable game, and we just had the ball shoved down our throats over and over. I guess the talk this week was, did the team quit? And the defense has obviously quit. Stanford basically got tired of going up and down the field all game and wore themselves out. So they didn't have anything left in the fourth quarter, which was the only reason why they didn't score 100 last Saturday. And people say, well, the offense didn't quit. Well, the offense didn't really have a choice because Stanford's back seven was the absolute slowest group of linebackers and or cornerbacks and safeties that I've ever seen at Florida Field. And we've played some doozies for opponents there. So it's not like we haven't seen a slow plodding white defense like what Stanford has. So, Emory could have thrown for 1,000 last week, and it really didn't matter, but he could have if the defense could actually get off the field. All that said, I have zero faith in Mullen doing the right thing today and playing Richardson, which he should, but he won't. I see like a 31-28 kind of game, I think, and Missouri wins in the end. I wouldn't be totally shocked if we won today. I hope we win today. I would never root for the Gators to lose. If the team doesn't show up and they do what they did in Columbia a couple weeks ago, which was the ultimate sin because South Carolina stinks. You had a FCS transfer quarterback go up and down the field on your defense. If that happens again, Mullen should be done. And if he doesn't want to be there, he should be done too. So, we'll see what happens tonight, but I'm not I'm not geeked up to see Florida go and really lay one on Missouri, because even when Florida's good and Missouri's bad, that doesn't happen anyway.
So if he were to lose tonight, and let's say he loses to Florida State, is he definitely out of there?
He's got to be if he drops these
Really?
next two. If he loses today, I wouldn't fire him until after the FSU game, because I don't trust anyone else on that staff any more than Mullen to call plays and do the coach stuff. So I wouldn't let him go to, I wouldn't fire him on the tarmac like a bunch of fans will probably want to do.
Has he signed any kind of an extension?
The last extension he signed was prior to this year. It lengthened his contract by a year. These recruits, well, the agents like to say that the recruits want to see like 5 or 6 years always left on a contract, kind of like basketball. Football is a little bit different because you don't start recruiting kids when they're in 5th grade like you do in basketball. But his most recent extension was actually better for Florida. It reduced the buyout. It changed the terms of it. So if Florida fires him, they owe him $6 million off the spot, and then $1 million each year for, I think, like 6 years. But that part can be negotiated. So it's not as it used to be. It used to be killer. I want to say it used to be like 20 something, and they did get it down. Part of that was
kind of stupid on his part, wasn't it?
Well, I think part of it was he did get into some NCAA trouble. Like, he can't go visit recruits until like the end of December.
Right.
He's been on that for the last like year or so. I think that played a part in it. I think they got onto him for some of the dumb crap that he said in press conferences last year, and just overall stuff with the program, and all that stuff's cute. Like when you're winning.
Oh, vaccination boy.
Yeah, that, and he's complaining about A&M and this, that, and the other. And I can say all that as a fan, but if you're the face of the program and you're in a press conference, like, try and have a press conference once in a while where you don't put your foot in your mouth. Like, McElwain was a moron, and he's kind of.
I honestly thought he looked like a dumbass at the end of the win from Samford, and he's all jovial and trying to defend, saying, "Well, don't disrespect the game because any win's a big win." No, it's not. You can't let 42 points be hung on you at the half by Samford and say everything's all hunky dory.
Right, exactly.
You think Saban would do that?
If Samford had more than 59 guys on scholarship, they might have had enough depth to actually finish the game. I swear the only reason they didn't win is because they got tired of going up and down the field every possession, and their guys just started dropping. Their quarterback the Welch kid was the best quarterback on the field the other day, and it wasn't even close. I mean, not even Emory would have never been able to make. That's usually
why these lesser schools can't beat the big boys, is because of depth. Because you see it all the time. You see games where they're close going into the fourth quarter, and then the depth just wears them down.
Right.
But yeah, I'm with you on that. Bobby, do you give Florida much of a chance of winning today, or more importantly, are they going to cover the spread?
I give them a chance to win. I don't think they will, and I certainly don't think they'll cover the spread.
You don't think they'll win today?
No.
Wow.
No, I have no reason to believe they will. The defense looked atrocious last week. It looked atrocious against South Carolina. It's not a good football team right now. I mean, like Tony said, we let Samford hang 42 on us in one half. That's just embarrassing. That's embarrassing. And, what's an SEC team going to do to us this week? Who knows? I know South Carolina didn't quite do what Samford did, but, I think Missouri is certainly capable of it. I think they're going to torch us on the ground. I think it's going to be a fairly high-scoring game, but I have no confidence in Florida winning. Honestly, it's hard to say, but it's the truth. I don't think they'll get it done today, and I'm just kind of counting down the days, I guess, until Mullen's on his way out of Gainesville.
Wow.
It is, isn't it crazy? Like, and like I said, these situations, like, maybe it worked for Brian Kelly, although Brian Kelly had much more immediate success than Dan Mullen did. It's Dabo to a very lesser extent, but Dabo was never in the weeds like Mullen is, and was never a moron in press conferences. But isn't it crazy how it's turned? I mean, a lot of the fan base, the Alabama game, to me, like, the first quarter still happened. Like, too much of the fan base kind of poo-pooed the first quarter against Alabama. Like, it's still part of that football game. So that still happened. But a lot of people were feeling really good after the Alabama game. And I said 9-3 before the season started. And And that's my issue with Mullen too. Like, if you ask me, like, what's Florida's record going to be in 2025? Like, I don't even have to look at the schedule. I go, you know what? 9-3. What about 2031? 9-3. Like, we're going 9-3 until the end of time. And if that's your preseason prediction every year from now for the next 20 years with Dan Mullen, he's probably not the guy. Because if you're predicting 9-3, maybe you're going to go 10-2, 11-1, like once every 6 years. But you're also going to have a year like this, every 3 or 4 years. And there's no excuse for it with this roster. It's not loaded with 5 stars, but it's loaded with good enough talent to where you shouldn't have lost to Kentucky. You shouldn't have gotten your wiener stepped on by LSU the entire game, and you shouldn't have lost a lot. I mean, you basically you feel like you go to South Carolina and just get hammered, and Frank Beamer took over that program. There was basically a tie between South Carolina and Vanderbilt as far as who was going to be worse in the East. I guess we're lucky we played Vanderbilt when we did, and I know for a billion% fact that we are very lucky to have played Tennessee already, because if we played Tennessee last Saturday, Tennessee would have scored 100 and they wouldn't have ran out of gas. And Heupel's got, I think Heupel, if Heupel can recruit, I think Tennessee has found a pretty good coach there. Because I know his scheme is at least going to keep the fans entertained up there. I haven't listened lately when Justin's on, not because I hate Justin, but just we've been busy lately. But I'm sure he's excited with Heupel up there.
Yeah, well, I really ought to just forward you his text that he sends me around third quarter and about 12 beers in. He's ready to throw championship parades, man.
Because that game, if Mullen's around, that game next year, I think we have 5 of our first 6 games are at home, and the one away game is Tennessee, and that's gonna. I know Tennessee does it every other year when they host it, but that's gonna be his Tennessee back game. And I win that game either.
I'm with you on it. I think if that Tennessee-Florida game is played today, Tennessee wins and probably by 2 or 3 scores.
Oh yeah, and they've got the better quarterback in Hooper.
Because they finally figured out the offense, and I mean the entire team, because Heupel brought in a brand new offense, and now that offense is clicking, they're really hard to slow down, and I don't think Florida would be able to keep up with them. I'm interested to see where Tennessee ends up as far as bowl game to who they might play, and I hope they get a decent draw, because that could be a really fun bowl game to watch. I can't believe, because just a month ago, Florida fans, including y'all, were singing Mullen's praise, and now everyone's talking about firing him. I can't believe it's already gotten this far, but they are 2-5 in the SEC, 5-5 overall. Obviously 3 of those games were just Bobo games.
Recruiting's a mess.
Right. The recruiting is terrible. I haven't even looked at the recruiting ranking recently, but the last time I saw it, it was really bad. And to your point, a lot of that was affected by the lack of ability to travel and actually go see recruits, which some recruits might have preferred that, because old vaccination boy would probably be, licking doorknobs and everything as he's coming in the house. But that does hamper you regardless. I don't know if it hampers you too much during the season, because a coach is not going to get on the road and go into a recruit's home unless he just happens to be in the area. But as far as during the summer, that's a big deal. And if that doesn't get lifted until after the recruiting deadline, which I think that's what the stipulation was, I can't remember off the top of my head. If that's the case, that's going to hurt them big time in the early signing period.
Well, and it's not like this staff is full of a bunch of big time recruiters anyway. I mean, the only really good recruiter is probably Brewster, who you're familiar with, obviously with FSU, and he's been in a million places, and he's just a old tight end coach, smooth talking, whatever. And Christian Robinson, who's like a 35-year-old linebacker coach who is kind of a package deal with Grantham. So odds are I don't think he's the interim defensive coordinator for whatever that's worth. And you saw what happened Saturday. I don't think he's around. I'd send him back to Georgia. That's where he belongs anyway. So there's not, they've got a bunch of former defensive coordinators on this staff, but none that, other than Robinson, but none that like are really household names or really made huge impacts anywhere. Paul Pasqualone was on the support staff. He's an on-field guy now, and he stinks. There aren't any hardcore recruiting guys on this. Like there's no recruiting juice on this staff. And if Mullen does stay, he's got to pick a young defensive coordinator that actually brings some guys that want to recruit. They just come off as lazy. And even before the thing with Mullen happened last year, this class wasn't one that was on target to have a bunch of 5-star or 4-star guys. And, McElwain's recruits got him through the first 2 or 3 years. And I know McElwain was a goofball and was in over his head here as well. He's doing all right at Central Michigan, but he actually was able to get guys to come, and they had a staff that recruited pretty well. Even if it's Randy Shannon recruiting a bunch of 3-stars from South Florida, they were able to develop a decent amount of those guys. But this class this year's not shaping up to be very good. And if Mullen sticks around, I got a feeling that 2023 class isn't going to be good either. So now you've had 2 lousy classes, and that doesn't set up well for the next head coach to come in and do anything with those guys either.
All right, well, let's go ahead and start to mosey on out of here. Let's go ahead and get everyone's. Okay, so Bobby, you've not given me a stupid underdog pick yet. Where are you going today?
I have two games written down, but I'm going to take the top one. I'll go Michigan State plus 19 versus Ohio State, the big game of the day. I think this is going to be a closer game just because of how much is on the line for both teams. Honestly, the winner of this game really has the best shot of the Big Ten teams to make it to the playoffs. I don't think Michigan State's going to let it get to be a blowout like the spread indicates. So I think they'll keep it close, and maybe if I'm lucky, they'll get the win, and I'll get some points out of it. But I think at worst today they'll cover.
Wow. Okay. So far we've got Missouri by Tones plus 9. Tony is taking FAU plus 10.5. And so you took Michigan State. I was kind of leaning towards that one. There's not like a big spread that I like, but I feel like if I don't take a decent size spread, then what in the hell am I doing? So I'm going to go ahead and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take Rutgers. Rutgers is getting 18. I don't think they have much of a chance of pulling this off, but they did play really well last week. Granted, it was against Indiana. Indiana's terrible, but maybe they get some momentum there and hang in there for a little bit. One of the more interesting games that I got kind of circled, but I'm just not willing to take it, would be the where, let me see where that line is, if it's moved or not on me. Well, they must have taken it off the board, so to heck with that. But essentially that one I like. And I am curious because SMU plays a wide open type game. Can they stay within 10 points of Cincinnati? Man, Cincinnati at some point has got to start putting the gas pedal down and blowing some teams out. They've only got a few games left. And like the game last week against South Florida, they won and they were never really in danger of losing the game. They didn't even come close to covering the spread.
Right.
And it's in every Tuesday night, we have to hear these crocodile tears. Oh, they're picking on us. We're so much better. They're just picking on us. No, you play a crap schedule. The only team that you've played worth mentioning is Notre Dame. You beat Notre Dame, and congrats and kudos to you. That's a good football team that you beat, but that's it. And it's like, I remember having these conversations when I was a little kid with my dad about college football. And at this point, Tony, we were talking like Oklahoma, Nebraska back in the Big 8 days. Yeah. And he would always say that he couldn't stand pulling for either one of those teams because anybody could get up for one game a year. Right. And when you talk about national championship, it's got to be a war of attrition. It's what did you do this week? And then you're going to have to deal with your opponent next week and the week after, et cetera, et cetera. And that's the way I feel about Cincinnati. They're just kind of lulling their way through this entire thing. when they played Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, or was it the Peach Bowl? I think it might have been the Peach Bowl. But when they played Georgia in the Peach Bowl, that was impressive. But that's not the type of team I'm seeing out of Cincinnati right now. Yeah. I'm seeing a team that barely gets the ball down the field. They always find a way to kind of stub their toe. It's kind of like the Kansas City Chiefs offense this year. If you just kind of play back, they'll eventually make a mistake. This game is a put your stamp on it game.
Yeah, it hasn't helped them. That conference is way down this year too. Like Memphis, I was watching Memphis last night. They're not any good. UCF's had some injury problems. They're not any good this year compared to what they usually are. Houston looked good. I'm guessing they've played already. I would assume Cincinnati's beat them. I'm not totally sure, but yeah, I mean that conference this year has been a hot mess, and that hasn't helped. Like if the year UCF went undefeated, they're at least that conference was somewhat decent that year, but this year it's been kind of a train wreck.
All right, let's go with locks. Bobby, we'll start with you since you got the losing record. We'll give you a chance to right the ship, so to speak. What is your lock of the day?
I had one written down, but I'll change it to my second crazy underdog pick that I didn't mention. I'll take Kansas plus 21 versus TCU. And I know Kansas, they're not a terribly good team, and they're coming off a big emotional win for their program and stuff. But TCU is also not a good team. They may not even show up
today.
Yeah, but
they're still partying.
While Kansas is not very good, TCU is also not good at all. These are two bad teams. 21's a lot for on two bad teams. Most Big 12 games have been pretty close this year, so I see Kansas covering this one. It's a 21-point spread. I'll take Kansas.
All right, Tony, what is your lock of the day, sir?
First off, Kansas damn well better wear those toucan helmets that they wore last week. Those were so bad that they were amazing.
I think they were distracting. That's how they got the W.
Exactly. I think Iowa covers against Illinois. I think it's weird when these teams don't play with their coach, and Bellum will be watching this one on the sofa, just like me. So I think Iowa covers in that game. That'll be my lock of the day. Kate's lock of the day.
All right. So so Catherine's going by Kate, correct?
Yes.
Gotcha. So my lock yesterday was taking Florida State in the 2.5 in my pocket against Boston College. Jordan Travis played really well the last time that they faced Boston College up there. So I expect more of the same. But my lock today, I've been going kind of back and forth on this, but I think I'm going to go ahead and stick with it. Look, Wake Forest, I just don't think should be an underdog. Wake Forest is getting 4. And if the spread was a little higher, I think a lot of us would have jumped on stupid underdog. It's kind of pointless to grab a stupid underdog at 4 points the way our rules are set up. So I'm going to take Wake Forest plus 4. I think they get the W and inching a little closer. I still think they're going to get left out no matter what scenario happens. Not enough teams play enough teams for there to be enough losses to get Wake Forest into it, right? Everything falls perfectly. They're still going to be like number 5. But Wake Forest, hell of a season so far. And I'm really looking forward to that ACC championship game, assuming it's Wake versus Pitt, because I think that could be a really fun shootout. Tony, what is your one big thing today as we walk this off?
I think, let me think on one big thing. I think we'll get a lot more clarity. I think as far as I think if this is my heart talking, but if Florida's going to lose one of these last 2 games, I think it's going to be tonight. I think I still feel somewhat confident, I guess, about next Saturday, but we'll cross that bridge then. But I do think Florida probably loses tonight. I think we'll have a little more clarity on the future of Dan Mullen. Like I said, I don't think they'll fire him over the weekend. I think I would hang on until after the FSU game, just so he's the play caller in that, and it's not some guy from Section 4, row 17. So I think that's my one big thing. I think we'll get some clarity on Dan Mullen tonight.
All right. Bobby, what is your one big thing?
I'm going to say Alabama. They clinched the SEC West today with a big win over Arkansas.
All right. My one big thing is Florida State gets the win. Florida gets the loss. And next week, it's a battle of the Sunshine State to see which team sucks least and gets to go to a bowl game.
Yeah.
It could be a battle of 2 5 and 6 teams next week trying to get to, or they both lose, and that's essentially our bowl game next week.
Yeah.
That's a very real possibility too.
It is.
But
yeah.
I think Florida State's going to find a way to win. My only concern is they had that big emotional win against Miami. Are they going to have anything in the tank to get up early on a Saturday morning? Cold as hell. I think it's 31 degrees right now in Boston.
I was able to watch half the third quarter and the fourth quarter when we got back from Gainesville. And if Travis keeps his composure and plays within himself, he's become a pretty good quarterback. Norvell makes it very easy for quarterbacks to be successful, and that's a good trait to have in a head coach. And he's
if Norvell stays out of his own way and doesn't make stupid decisions.
Exactly.
The one thing that I'll say about that entire game that I'm still not cool with, and look, it worked out, so no one's going to talk about it, but they were down 28-20 with about 5-6 minutes left in the game. There may not even been that much, but it was around 5 minutes. And it's 4th and 3 in the red zone of Miami, and they kick a field goal.
Yeah, I thought that was dumb.
And when I saw that, I was like, is LaFleur pumping in decisions to Norvell from Green Bay? Because it was exactly the same thing. It was like, what the hell are you doing? You go for the touchdown because the worst case scenario happens. You don't get it. Then the ball is turned over right there. Now it worked out perfectly for them. They got the ball back. The defense played well, but a really, really difficult 4th and 14 conversion ended up getting them in the end zone. But it was a dumb call. And sometimes I feel like, and I see this all the time with Norvell, sometimes I feel like the moment is too big for him right now, and he almost outthinks himself.
Yeah.
All the problems that your boy Mullen has had, I think he goes for that 4th and 3. And I'm not even saying that you even get it, but you give yourself 2 chances to be able to go down there. That had to play out absolutely perfectly. And I know someone's going to say, well, but then you have to get the 2-point conversion. Well, they got the 2-point conversion before that. So I don't know. It was dumb. All right, guys, great job. We will see y'all next week. Next week, it's Hate Week, Florida State, Florida. And Bobby, I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, I'm good.
Take care.